Do you ever wonder why some people seem to attract narcissists more than others? Join me in this upcoming series as we do a deep dive into the frequently asked questions about narcissism. In this video, we're going to explore the traits and behaviors that make individuals narcissist magnets. From empathetic to compassionate personalities to those with low self esteem, we will uncover the characteristics that attract narcissists to relationships. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of Holistic Healing Network. I am your hostess, Leah Petrucci. I am a licensed mental health counselor, also a holistic health and spiritual wellness coach, and a narcissistic recovery coach. So this is the final episode in the series of the top 10 frequently asked questions that I get in both my counseling and coaching practices about narcissism. That question that I get from clients is, why do I keep attracting narcissists? Why do I have this pattern? And more importantly, what do I do to stop? So that's kind of a two-parter question. So I'll tackle the first one. Typically, the types of people that are narcissist magnets are typically very empathic, very compassionate, very sensitive, very caring, loving, but also codependent. They are fixers and rescuers. They easily fall for the narcissist. They easily fall for the love bombing and pity party in the beginning, the pity seeking. And a reason that they, and also, I'll say we, because as I shared, I have been there myself. And I also, until I broke that pattern many years ago, found myself in the same roller coaster ride of choosing narcissistic men. And I really had to do a deep dive in my own recovery and find out why that was happening. And so it's different for different people, but typically what I will see and hear about is going back to the client's childhood. They either didn't receive some kind of emotional support or love in some way, or they have some kind of, emotional wound, maybe from childhood trauma. They were somewhat starving for that love. And when the narcissist comes in and gives that and just love bombs them with this love and affection, and they're not used to that, it doesn't always have to be emotional neglect from a parent. It can also be just emotional trauma experienced growing up. It can be early trauma experienced in teenage relationships, for example, having an experience with a narcissistic partner as a teenager, having that be their first experience, their first love, being a narcissist. So then that set them up to have that model. They remembered how great that love felt and that they wanted to continue seeking that feeling. So therefore, when other narcissistic people would come along and would remind them of that teenage relationship, that first love that they experienced from the narcissist, then they, fall again for that pattern because it's familiar. It feels familiar to them. There are also the cases of growing up with a narcissistic parent or caregiver. And so therefore, when they come across the narcissistic person, there's something familiar as a partner. It's something familiar to them. There's a phenomenon that exists in psychodynamic theory called object relations theory. And this theory is, they call it object, but I never understood why it was called object because these are people we're talking about. But basically the object relations theory is that we come across objects, or they're people really, that remind us of the people from our past. And that in our mind, we want to repeat that situation where we feel like it failed in the beginning, but we want it to work this time. This time it's going to work. This time we can fix it. There's a term also that goes along with object relations theory called repetition compulsion. So we have the compulsion to repeat the situation again and again until we feel like we've mastered it or we've gotten it right. But the truth is, if we keep picking unhealthy, toxic partners, we're never going to get satisfied. We're never going to get that need met. And that's when we decide to get off the roller coaster and do some serious healing. So I hope that answers the question a little bit better of why, that the psychology behind why we may pick or fall for narcissistic people. They're also, in the beginning, just very fun and larger than life and like to do fun things, and so we may enjoy that. That may be just as simple as that. We fall for who the narcissistic person portrays, and because they put on a really good show, they put on a really good act, that they're these good people, and so we may fall for it, until we learn what that looks like and how to spot it, and when we do spot it, to leave, immediately, rather than to stay in unhealthy situations for too long. That's one of the criteria for codependency, is staying in unhealthy situations for too long, being loyal for too long to toxic people. Also, there's the topic of trauma bonding, which deserves really its own separate video and separate really mini course or master course, depending on, how deep of a dive you want to do. Trauma bonding is a term that refers to when we bond with other people in our similar traumas. And I have a testimony to this fact, which I will share about that. I've got a lot of testimonies in this area, so it'll definitely be multiple videos and different topics of testimony. But I do have a testimony in the topic of trauma bonding that goes back to an early childhood trauma that caused me to recreate the pattern over and over and pick narcissistic men, or men that I saw were broken and needed help or needed to be fixed or rescued. Another example of trauma bonding would be people that meet in a rehab center. People that meet because they both have been cheated on, and so they bond in that trauma of being betrayed, that betrayal trauma. The narcissist is really good in the beginning about trying to get pity and sharing their trauma and what they've been through in hopes to also get you to relate to that trauma and go, oh, wow, okay, I've met someone who understands, and he or she puts up with my crazy, so I can put up with theirs, and that's an example of trauma bonding. And we continue to seek that in future relationships until that cycle is broken. The way to break that cycle is through therapy, is through coaching, sometimes a combination of both, and really to just do a deep dive and discover, what is your personal reason. What are the things from your past that were unhealed wounds, unhealed attachment wounds, unhealed betrayal wounds, unhealed trauma that led you to continue that bond cycle? And that can take time. It can take time because, the cycle probably went on for a long time. And so therefore it's going to take time to break it, and it's going to take, work and effort. So if that is something that when you hear and you relate to, and that's something that you are interested in working on, I do have two private practices. I have a counseling practice for residents of Florida. I also, though, purposely opened a coaching business so I could serve the rest of the online world and provide coaching services, which are a little bit different from counseling. Counseling is more of, we process the thoughts and feelings of the why and what happened and how that affected you emotionally. And then we work on techniques and things to strengthen, to break those patterns. And coaching is really more of a coming up with goals, setting short-term and long-term goals, accountability, action planning, taking steps forward. So they're both beneficial. I now see that there's benefits to doing both. So I'm not really one team or the other. I think they're both great, which is why I now do both and offer both. I will include those links on how to get in touch with me in the description of the video if you are looking for further one-on-one or group coaching or counseling. Looking forward to speaking with you further on that. That is it for the top 10 frequently asked questions series. I banged these videos out, y'all. I've been at this for 4 hours today. I batch created this content. I'm gonna call it a day, and I will see y'all soon for the next series, which don't know what will be yet, but I'm always open for feedback. I would love to know what some additional questions are that you have that didn't make the top 10 list, and I would be glad to produce more content on that. So if you like this content, please give it a thumbs up. Please share with loved ones who can benefit from this information on narcissism. Please comment any feedback or questions in the comment section, and please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you soon.
Well, thanks for watching another episode of Holistic Healing Network. If you're in need of further counseling or coaching, I have 2 opportunities for you. I work one-on-one with adults depending on where you live. I implement multiple areas of specialization involving holistic healing for the mind, body, spirit, and relationship. I also offer a supportive group community program specifically for single women, whether you're divorced, whether you're separated from your spouse, or whether you've never been married, but you're seeking holistic healing in a supportive community setting as they break toxic patterns of choosing unhealthy partners in relationships, as well as focus on prioritizing self-care in health and wellness. I will include links in the description of the video for how you can work with me either individually or in a group setting. Thanks for watching Holistic Healing Network, and I'll see you in the next video.